Your friends are not your network. Let me explain. Hi friends, and welcome to the 360 Degrees of Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Akiti, and today we're going to talk about social wealth. So let's dive right in. What is social wealth? Social wealth is creating the status and network to impact who you want. What does that mean? Well, if you're looking to make an impact in this world, whether that be how you're giving back or how you are building yourself up in your career and where you want to reach in terms of your legacy for this world, you have to have the ability to leverage a network and impact certain people, that community that a lot of people talk about. And that has to be very intentional in how you approach it. So the first part of that is building the right status and brand in order to achieve that status. When we think about building social wealth, you have to start with understanding what is your brand. Who are you in society? Who are you to your network? And who should you be to the people that you want to impact and the people you want to be interacting with? You have to be very intentional about curating that version of you that you know you should be and how people perceive that and consume that version of you. What does that look like in practice? Well, you have to look at what does that version of you do, look like, feel like, and present themselves like. And when you do that, you're able to then emulate that and project that over to your network and the people around you. If I walked in on this podcast and I was slumped and a little bit like, I don't know, you're gonna think, why would I listen to her? But if I walk and I sit in and I stand here and sit here really and say, hey, I am so and this is how I present myself, now you have more of an inclination to hear me because I've intended that type of branding for my network, for the social status I'm looking to achieve and I've worked towards to be able to actually be that version of myself. The same way, you have to be intentional about what is that brand you want to present. And that starts with who you are and how you present yourself in any atmosphere, when you go to work, when you're with your friends, even when you're going shopping or when you're approaching a different location. Restaurants are one thing, right? Meeting places are another, right? But you have to be intentional about how you're showing up and how you're walking in this world. The other aspect of your brand in this day and age is your digital brand. What does it look like to curate that to again reflect that version of you that you want people to see? The version of you that you want to become that is still authentic to who you are, but represents the version of you that you want to be projecting, right? How are you curating that theme of who you are, what you bring to the table, what you are doing in this world? How should people understand that and how should people be consuming that? You have to be intentional in how you show yourself in those areas, the pictures you're using, the videos you're posting, the way you're approaching the conversation you're presenting online and curating that across your different platforms, but also what the profiles look like. How is your LinkedIn showing that version of you in a professional setting that is appropriate for that application? How are you presenting the version of you on Instagram that is a different type of profile, a little bit pithier, but still representing that version of you and tying it all together for those in your community that are across all of them? That's curating that 360-degree view of who you are and the status that you're trying to achieve. The other aspect of that is curating the network that you have. Curating your network is not just your friends. Yes, your friends are a part of your network and a core aspect of your social network because that's where you begin. That's where you're authentically showing up as yourself when you have authentic friends, and we'll talk about that. But that's where you start to have a group of individuals that are reading you, seeing you, and acknowledging you in a certain way. You are allowed to change that version of you and rebrand yourself and re-envision the type of branding and status you want to have even amongst your friends as you prepare to become the person that you want to be. And as you do that, your friends are no longer your only social network, are not your only network overall, that you want to be curating for what you want to do and the brand that you hold. Your friends are authentic to the community you need to be your authentic self, to be your cheerleaders. But when you're looking to achieve something in life, such as wealth, such as status, such as an impact on this world, you have to be intentional with that network that you have. So if we're talking about building a network in your career, you have to be good at the skills of introducing yourself. You have to be good at the skills of having a conversation, not just about the things in the world, but something that is relevant to the person you're having a conversation with. Why would that person engage with you in a discussion? Why would they be interested enough to have an additional conversation and connect with you on some level, either by giving you their phone number, sharing their social profiles, or even setting up a meeting? You have to be intentional in understanding how people communicate and how to interact with different kinds of people depending on what kind of network you are building. If you are in business and you're trying to build a network of like-minded business individuals or even potential clients, now you have to be intentional about showing up in places where those individuals exist. What are the conversations those places are engaging in? What are the kind of individuals that show up there? What is their branding? What is the way in which you will be a differentiator in that kind of stratosphere? What is it that you are going to be bringing to the table to business partners or like-minded business individuals that's going to be interesting enough for them to engage in and to continue to connect and kind of feed off each other, right? That's a kind of network you want to build for partnerships, for mentorships, for learning. But for clients, you have to know how to not only present yourself, but have pithier sales pitches that aren't salesy, but are conversational and are interesting enough for someone to now engage and say, you know what, I'd love to talk about this more. That's being intentional about how you're building a network, whether that is growing your social space, whether that is growing in your career and your professional network. In your professional network, if you're a business individual, gathering amongst like-minded business individuals and potentially gaining partners or mentors, or if it's with clients and trying to garner interest for clients to now be interested to work with you. You have to first start with that status, so you're presenting the brand that you want to be presenting for the business you have, for the work you're able to do as a professional, for the type of leader you want to be seen as. And then when you show up in those spaces, you have to be prepared for not only presenting that brand verbally now, but also being interesting enough to have and engage in a conversation. But then you also have to be able to maintain that network. And that's where the conversation of building a community comes in. What does it mean to now work with that network and curate a conversation that makes them feel like this is a community? Working with you is getting access to a community. Being a part of your social network as a friend or an acquaintance gets them access to that community. Being a client now gets them access to a different type of community where they can continue to learn, continue to get products that are beneficial to them. That's what it means to create the network and then activate the network. How am I creating spaces for that network to engage? How am I creating conversations with that network where people are interacting? How am I providing experiences to that network where now it's an opportunity to be more and grow together? That's activating your network for what you need. The other aspect of activating your network is as you're growing your business, as you're growing yourself as a professional, understanding the part that each individual plays in that network. What is the responsibility you have to those individuals, and what is it that they bring the table to you? it's not about just give and take, but it's about what is the value that relationship has. With friends, it's often a value of trust, respect, safety, right? So you have a safe corner in everything that you do. In your professional network as a corporate individual, your network is a group to leverage when you need buy-in for a project, leadership to vouch for you whenever you're going for that next promotion, partners to be available when you have urgent tasks. You have to maintain that network and work with them and engage with them and activate that community at a frequent rate so that they feel that you are present and they also feel like they have a responsibility to be there for you. In a business sense, that is very similar. You have to actively engage, and it might be a little bit more lax because business individuals have a lot more going on, right? But at the same time, you have to be meeting and having growth conversations. If you have a mentor, you want to be working with them and growing from them and understanding different aspects that they may bring to the table. If you don't yet have a mentor and you're looking for one, then you have to show up in different places or talk to that business network and understand, what are you looking for in a mentor? What is the guidance that you really need? And for your clients, you have to understand which clients are ready for which types of products or services that you offer, and constantly engage with them so that they feel appreciated and they also feel inclined to trust you and then buy from you for the long term, building that customer lifetime value with them. So that's really what it means to build social wealth. Not only the status and the brand that you want to be presenting to the world, but how are you creating and activating a network that you are able to engage with and impact together with the community that you're creating. So we're going to dive deeper into these topics and really what are the tips and tricks to creating that network, navigating the kind of brand you want to build, and what does it mean to really activate the network in the different ways for what the goals are of your business or for your career. I hope that this was helpful. Join me and subscribe and follow on 360 Degrees of Wealth podcast on all your podcasting channels. Join us on social networks as well for more tips and tricks, and we'll see you next time. Love and wealth.